Okay, hello everyone. My name is Wilkin Brutus. Today we are going to explore the Black Hispanic identity. For me, I've embraced the hyphenated identity, the hyphenated American. But for others, it's quite difficult to do that. So we're gonna, explore the Black Hispanic identity, and I have my friend here, my colleague. Can you introduce yourself?
Hola, mi nombre es Liz Paz, soy de los Estados Unidos y es un placer estar aquí con Wilkin. Hi, my name is Liz, and it's nice to be here to explore this topic.
That was nice. Hola. I need to learn Spanish ASAP.
Yeah.
Alright, so it's quite interesting, it's quite fascinating to explore the hyphenated identity in another country like Korea. The Black Hispanic community in America, I think it's like 2.5 of the U.S. population, according to the U.S. Census, yes. And Colombians, Venezuelans, Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Cubans, and Panamanians. So I have a question for you. How do you culturally identify yourself?
I think Colombian-American is the general term, but when I actually go to Colombia, I'm not just a Colombian, I'm an Afro Colombian, so they have that distinction.
Right.
So I think my identity really depends on where I'm at and who I'm speaking to, because even when I'm in the U.S., people don't know that there's Black Africans,
Right.
Black Africans, Black Colombians.
Black Colombians.
So it's still like a new thing to a lot of people. So
And so you're speaking to me, how would you identify yourself now?
Colombian-American.
Colombian-American.
Or Afro-Colombian-American.
Afro-Colombian-American. Wow. Okay. And how did you describe yourself to your Korean students?
I just try to, not complicate things, and I just say that I'm American.
Right.
When I walk into the room, it's like, "Oh, are you from Africa?" And I'm like, "Well, technically, but just to keep things simple, I just like, you know what? I'm from America. I'm American. I'm a U.S. citizen. Just to simplify it."
I get that. It's so tough because I'm Haitian American and you're Colombian American, and I still had the balls, the audacity to, teach them about Haiti and sort of teach them about the hyphenation, the hyphen. I'm sorry, because they're used to Gyopo. And Gyopo is Korean Americans. So a lot of the new generations are used to the concept of having two cultures now, right?
Yeah, so like I teach elementary school kids, so it's a little bit tricky. Like when my mom came to Korea, she speaks English with a heavy accent. So then the questioner was like, "Oh, why does she speak English this way?" And at that point, that's when I explained, well, I was born in the U.S., but my family originally is from Colombia.
Right.
Especially when they heard me speaking Spanish, they were amazed by the fact that I, had this other language in my pocket. So at that point, I think it made sense because they could actually see what I was talking about, as opposed to me just sitting there and explaining like, "Well, I'm from here and I do," what I mean? So I think it was a lot.
You have to make it simple. For them, they don't understand the geopolitics, and especially identity politics.
Right.
They can't really fathom that because it's a homogeneous society.
Yeah, exactly.
It's difficult for kids.
Like I have a parents class, and with them, I was able to discuss that a little bit further, and really just explain the notion that nobody from America is actually, unless you're Native American, even then,
it's an immigrant country.
Like it's an immigrant country. So if somebody is always from somewhere else, so that concept was easier to explain to them because they were more aware of these kind of things than it is to explain it to little kids. So
cool. And at home, did you? In terms of speaking, was it mostly Spanish or English, or the combination of the two?
Well, I was born in New York, in Brooklyn. And I was raised in Boston, and the neighborhoods that I lived in were predominantly Hispanic. Obviously, there was a mixture of Black, Hispanic, and everything else, but predominantly it was Hispanic.
Okay.
And in my household, it was always Spanish. My mom, my dad, that's their first language. That's how they're able to communicate exactly what they wanted, to communicate. So Spanish was always a language. I would speak Spanish to my sisters when my parents were there, but then when they weren't, it was English. Or like, sometimes there was a word in Spanish that I didn't really quite know how to, so then I would just kind of like breaking my Spanglish.
Spanglish, right? Like Konglish in Korea.
Yeah. Like, oh, that thingamajiggy, esa cosita, that is how I know. What do you call that?
Yeah,
you know how you say say like, oh, you know, what do you call that thing? That thing that's esa vaina, ¿cómo se llama esa vaina? That was me, you know, like.
That's so cool because, you know, growing up, my Haitian Creole, parle Creole bien parce que je parle, you know, English all the time.
Yeah.
My mom would literally speak Haitian Creole to me and I would respond in English.
Yeah, that would happen sometimes too.
I think it made my Haitian Creole horrible. Now, I understand a lot, of course, and I think I want to get better as time goes, but it's still really bad. Now, I start speaking it with my grandmother because she can't speak English at all.
Yeah.
She knows how to say hello and who's there in terms of who's knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Who's there? That's it. That's all she knows.
Yeah.
So she kind of forces me to speak Haitian Creole.
Yeah.
But living in Korea for so long, you don't have that. You can't practice it.
Yeah, I find myself losing a lot of vocabulary.
Yeah,
in
I lost a lot.
Even in English, like sometimes I'm like, wait, what do you call that? Oh, that's a book. You know, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how much of a language you get to lose. You know?
Yeah, you can lose it.
Yeah. But like the funny thing is that even when I was at home, like I used to speak Spanish with such a heavy accent that they would call me la gringa, which is I would be like the gringa. Or when I would go to Colombia, even though my whole family's in Colombia, both of my parents are Colombian, I would be the gringa because I spoke with an accent. Like later in life, like I would go to Colombia every year.
That's it. That's interesting. They have a label for that.
Yeah.
Now, what's the label for Afro-Latinas or Latinos in Spanish? What's the label for that?
See, it depends on the person. Like, you know, sometimes if it's somebody that you know, somebody that you're close to, like a friend will be like, oh, ¿qué hubo, negra? Negra means black.
Negra, yeah.
Right? So negra is the feminine version of it. So it's like, hey, black woman. Right. And it could be derogatory, but it could also be a term of endearment depending on who says it. Do you know? So
just like, is it similar to the N-word?
Not quite that connotation.
Not that connotation.
Like, you know, because the N-word, you say that word and people are just gonna be like,
whoa. But that.
You're not, oh, okay, I see.
Okay.
But when you hear the word negra, and it depends on the person that says it and doesn't have quite the.
It's situational.
Exactly.
It's situational. Yeah. It's like I always say, you wouldn't call a random stranger's wife honey, or darling, or hey baby, you know, you wouldn't call a guy's wife that. It's, unless you're friends, unless you know each other, and it's a joke. There's context to it.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then we have, you know, mulatto, is a mestizo, which is actually like the technical term if you're, you know, black and Indian, or if you're black and white, you're mixed, you're either one of the two.
Wow.
So we have those, but usually when you're with, you know, when you're with your friends and family, you're like, oh, Cuba negra, you know? So.
Hola, hola, ¿cómo estás, amigas, amigos? Okay, I'm sorry, that was corny. Annyeonghaseyo, hello, bonsoir, bonjour. Thank you for watching part 1 of my interview series with Liz Paz. Thank you, Liz, for accepting my invitation. Discussing identity politics is quite difficult, mainly because people have their own systems of reality, systems of thought. I would also like to give a big shout out to one of my best friends who happens to be Colombian. Florida, the state that I'm from, actually has the highest population of Colombians. So a big shout out to Andrew Mazzolini and his sister Julia. And my mom. Mom, I love you. Salut tout le monde pour moi. I will work on my Haitian Creole. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyhow, I love you. Thank you for watching, and look out for part 2. Peace. Annyeong.